It's a fascinating part of the story.
It is.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like, people say, one of the things that people love about real estate is they're like, I'm going to get out of it what I put into it, right? And that's this is the thinking that when people get in, but then they get in and they don't put into it as much as they had this vision of doing it. And it's like, okay, so when was the last time like you took a chance on your business that is that bananas, right? Like when was the last chance that you really put yourself out there that, you know what, like maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe I am going to fail. I'm going to fall flat on my face, but I'm at least going to go out in like a blaze of glory. And that's kind of what it felt like for us. I mean, when we were doing all of our training, everything was on Zoom or Facebook, and it was the pandemic. And we were like, you know what we need? We need to do an in-person event. Like in the middle of COVID.
We were over it.
Yeah.
In 2021, we were already over it. Yeah, sorry. So we were like, who will take us?
I lived in Florida.
You
were up the whole time. What do you mean?
Well, we were
close
literally
for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning. I am so excited. I've been trying to schedule this podcast with these three busy ladies for quite a while. I've offered to go wherever you guys are, but the problem is you're in 3 different parts of the country. So I'm grateful you guys made it work and came to Miami to hang out with me. The goal of the podcast is to actually show the backstory, right? I think a lot of people see humans like you three on the internet and go, I can never do that. I don't know how they get there. So it's also good to humanize your journey. So if we could just start off, how'd you guys all meet, right? How did the process start? I normally say, what brought you into real estate? So being that you guys are so unique and what you do is unique, I'm going to just let you guys jump in and start there.
Lauren's a stalker, actually.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Lauren is a stalker. So we actually met during COVID, during the pandemic. And while a lot of people, that was a really rough time for them, it ended up being something that was like kind of the start of Girls with Grit. We were all part of EXP, which was awesome. We had all been part of some of the same online communities. And Jamie, we call her Tech Tulak. She had some little Giphy stickers.
The little
on
marketing
her,
things?
Yeah.
Branded ones.
On her Instagram. And so then Lauren reached out to Jamie and was like, I need these Giphy stickers, right? So talk about like feeling like you can't do or build a big business like that. Like that is literally how this business started was, I like your dancing stickers.
Well, one of her dancing stickers was EXP. It was like EXP. And I was like, oh, she's probably on Workplace. So I used Workplace and sent her a message. And I was like, hey, where'd you get these? And then we became friends. And then we met Tara. Go ahead, finish.
Oh, yeah, no, you're good. So then we kind of reached out. And so this was the thing. We were lucky that we were having a lot of success in the pandemic market, but we saw a lot of people around us that were like really struggling. They didn't know how to generate business. They weren't sure like how to get from it. We had just found out like you couldn't show houses, right? And so we decided to jump on Clubhouse when Clubhouse was a thing.
That was a thing for 5 minutes. Right?
Yeah,
5 minutes.
well, it was a thing for at least 4 months because we spent the first 4 months of Girls with Grit on Clubhouse, and we had our little calls I call them little calls. They started with like 5 people, and then 20 people, and then 50 people, and then 500 people, and we were like, we better get this onto a platform that we can actually create more of a community with, and we moved over to Facebook. But I think the story of Girls with Grit is that we see that there is such a high failure rate in this industry. There are so many places where there are really, really smart, dedicated people that are failing, but it's not because of lack of effort. It's just because they don't know how to build a business. People make the mistake of getting into real estate thinking it's about houses, and it's not anything about houses. It's about how well can you market yourself and how good of a salesperson you are. And so those are the skills that we feel like a lot of brokerages, not EXP of course, but a lot of brokerages are lacking, and we've been able to kind of bring that into the table. And so now those little Clubhouse calls at 9 p.m. that started with 5 people, we've got 22,000 women in real estate in our Facebook group, and we're coaching in there every single week, and it's been pretty awesome.
And from there, just because out of the need, all of a sudden we became real estate coaches.
Yeah.
Which
that was never the plan.
No. If you would have asked us when we started Girls with Grit, like if we wanted to actually be real estate coaches, absolutely not. It was not even on the table. But it was out of them asking us like, okay, you girls are really brilliant. You're great marketers. You're great at sales. We want you to coach us. What?
And how did that sequence go? Because I mean, I didn't want to be a realtor. I wanted to be a real estate investor, right? And
Yeah.
6 months into a mentorship relationship, it's like, hey, you want access to the MLS, you want to pull your own comps, you want to save money when you sell the house, you need a real estate license. So a lot of us end up in this journey because we were trying to solve for something else.
Yeah. I think for us, like, it happened because, excuse me, we were just really committed in that time, like Tara mentioned, to like bringing value to other agents. And that's the truth. Like, that sounds super cliche and like, oh yeah, you know, collaboration over competition and all this stuff. But if we're honest, like, because we were at EXP for a couple years prior to doing what we're doing now in Girls with Grit, like, that taught us how to do that. And so we really just, through building Girls with Grit, we're like, how can we continue to bring value? And so we did that. We did like a free 12-week challenge where, like Jamie mentioned, we were not planning on building any kind of coaching platform. So we were like, we'll just give them our best stuff. Like, what's the best stuff over the course of, 50 years collectively in real estate? What can we teach? And so we did that over and over for like 12 weeks. And then at the end of that, the girls were like, okay, well, now what? Like, you can't leave us. Like, what do we do now? And we're like, well, we don't have a coaching platform built, but if you want to come along for the ride, we'll just build this thing with you guys week by week. And so that's what we did. So
Funny story. So obviously we're in 3 different markets.
Tell everybody how disparate it is, because I think sometimes people think they can't work or collaborate with someone in a different part of the country.
Oh gosh. That's not true at all. So I'm in Denver, Colorado, and then Lauren's in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Jamie's in Raleigh. So we're across the country from each other, time zones apart. We actually, throughout this whole thing, before ever meeting in person, opened our business bank account together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we met for the first time at Brent's Cabo event in 2021. Yeah. That's funny.
That's a fascinating part of the story.
It is.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like, people say, one of the things that people love about real estate is they're like, I'm going to get out of it what I put into it, right? And that's this is the thinking that when people get in, but then they get in and they don't put into it as much as they had this vision of doing it. And it's like, okay, so when was the last time like you took a chance on your business that is that bananas, right? Like, when was the last chance that you really put yourself out there that, you know what, like, maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe I am going to fail. I'm going to fall flat on my face, but I'm at least going to go out in like a blaze of glory. And that's kind of what it felt like for us. I mean, when we were doing all of our training, everything was on Zoom or Facebook, and it was the pandemic. And we were like, you know what we need? We need to do an in-person event, like in the middle of COVID.
We were over it. Yeah. In 2021, we were
Sorry.
already over it. Yeah, sorry. So we were like, who will take us?
I lived in Florida. We
Yeah,
didn't
You were
talk
up
right.
the whole time. What do you mean?
Well, we were
We closed for
literally
like 2 weeks.
calling around the country, like, where can we do an in-person event? We ended up going to Nashville, and we did it at the Graduate Hotel because we felt, we're obviously a community for women, so that it was the Dolly Parton Hotel. We really respect like her story, I guess. But yeah, so it went from online classes, Zoom classes, to this wild live event.
Clubhouse to Facebook, and then just to put everybody on one platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. So Clubhouse, there was no way to save any of the stuff
At
that we
that
were
time,
teaching
yeah.
at that time. And we were like, well, this is dumb. We're spending all this time developing all this content. We're teaching it one time, and then poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
So that's actually what caused us to move
Yeah.
to Facebook.
Got a little bit smarter there.
Yeah.
Thought, hey, how can we repurpose some of this content?
I think a lot of times people don't realize how many pivots there are.
Oh,
Tons.
gosh, every
to get-
day.
So this is one I just actually learned about recently, and I've been telling it because it's top of mind. Slack. You guys are familiar with
Yeah.
Slack that we're all getting. Slack was actually a pivot. The company where Slack was invented was called Glitch, and it was a video gaming company
Oh, really?
that struggled for 2 years and was going to go out of business. And Slack was an internal tool they developed just to stay in touch. And as they were winding down the company, they were using Slack to stay in touch. And a couple of them were like, hey, we could probably salvage the company and use this. And Slack, sold to Salesforce for like $18 billion or some ridiculous number many, many years later. But it was a full pivot from a gaming platform
Interesting. I did not know
to
that.
becoming the most ubiquitous communication platform
That's
in
interesting.
business.
Wow.
Huh. I had no idea about that.
So walk me through how that so if that's where it started, what did it go through and what is it today? Because again, I think, you guys have amazing content and you have events, but to some of us on the outside who just recently got invited for the first time, you guys a hard time, may still be super curious about what's available in your guys'
Sure.
world.
Yeah, Jamie, you want?
Yeah, so back to kind of what Tara was saying. So we went from Clubhouse, then to Facebook. Then we threw our first event in Nashville. Then we did the Gridiron Challenge for 12 weeks. Then we started our coaching program after that. So it was like within a year, we were like up and running. Within 18 months, we had a 7-figure business, right? And so we just kept building the plane as we were flying it and talking about pivoting, right? Pivoting anytime we're like, hey, what do they actually need? This is what they think they need, but this is what they actually need, right? And we just kept doing that. We kept rolling out maybe a few like master classes and trainings. So now what is Girls with Grit now? Now we are a coaching program, right? We've put over 650 women through our coaching program. We've got the online Facebook community. We have events, small events throughout the year at different markets across the country. Just that was more with the thought of like, hey, they can't always come to our big, large event because it's hard. We're working with women, and it's hard to be a woman in business when you've got other obligations and priorities like your family and your children and things like that. And so we thought, let's go to them. So we started doing a lot more mini events and things like that throughout the country. We've got our big live event every year, which this year's in Savannah, Georgia.
We do the free webinars.
We do free webinars and trainings.
Those get 1,500 people. It's wild.
Yeah, and then we have our monthly marketing
membership. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing that we do. So we have a marketing membership called Momentum. So this is the thing. So many agents would do the marketing if they knew who to send it to, what to say, and when to say it, right? And so we came up with this marketing membership where it's like having a little marketing manager, like right in your back pocket. 3 of them, actually. So we take all of the different core pillars of marketing for an agent. So email marketing, right? Because so many people are building on social media, but they're not developing their email list. So we create lead magnets for them, and we create swipe and send emails that they can literally copy and paste and then send to whatever the target audience is in them.
And by the way, you guys are talking to me. I still haven't figured that part out.
Oh,
so
see?
I'm guilty.
Maybe you
as
need
well.
momentum.
Oh, you need
Leo.
momentum, Leo, with a 70% open rate.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
serious.
yeah.
I follow up on that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's copy and paste emails. So we have ones that are directed towards your sphere of influence, ones that are directed towards, newer leads, and then ones that are directed that can kind of go to everybody. Because one of the things that we believe is that sales should be 90% relationship building and just being a good human, and then 10% closing. And I think so many people do that backwards. But so we have copy and paste emails, copy and paste text messages. We have a quarterly newsletter that literally they just take Canva, they drag their face into it, they're able to send it off to their clientele.
And if they're at EXP, it's included in the
Yeah.
value
Is it right?
proposition.
Included in their value proposition there from EXP. It includes, we also do a featured client event every month. The 3 of us, when we were selling full-time before Girls with Grit, we were selling $20 to $30 million a year as individual agents, and we literally built our businesses on client events, happy hours, those kinds of things. And so we have a featured client event as part of that marketing membership each month. So
What does that entail? Do you tell them how to host it?
So that's the thing. We go back and forth between what we call business building events and then just community events. So we will do every single marketing template that they need. So the printed invitation, the Instagram posts, the flyers, the emails that go with it, the postcard that goes with it. And again, it's a drag and drop
The
situation.
Google header for the
Google header
RSVP,
for the RSVP
like literally
form.
everything.
We teach them, we tell them why they're hosting the event, because sometimes it's like, why would I be hosting this wine and wealth event? What does that have to do with, real estate? So we explain to them, this is your target audience for this event. This is why you want to host this event. This is your objective for this event. This is the type of venue you want to host this event in. These are the partners that you probably want to consider for either sponsorship or presentation.
When I hear this, I almost want to go sell again and be like,
Yes,
these are
because
so
it-
tactical.
Yeah.
We teach a lot of tactical.
very
That's why
tactical,
the community's grown as fast as it has, because we're not just teaching them like theory and stuff up here. We're actually teaching them the tactical stuff. And oh, by the way, here's everything you need on a silver platter. Just drag and drop your face in Canva and you're off to the races. Like all of our stuff is like that. What?
Keep going. Sorry. I
Oh, no,
interrupted the
you're
flow.
good. So, and we do direct mail campaign postcards. So we have 2 different designs that they can choose from each month. One of them, again, is more like a business building, and then the other one is more community related. So they
Is
just,
that known and unknown? What
it's
is that
more or
targeted?
less just trying to help them understand the right mix of communication with their sphere of influence and database, right? Because you don't have to be hard selling all the time. So
Right.
one of the things that we teach inside of our coaching program is a program that we call 5 Mile Famous, right? And it's about how do you become the digital mayor of your community? How do you be omnipresent in your community without being salesy all the time? So every single thing that we have inside of our program is with that end goal in mind, that when you go to the grocery store, that the cashier, the lady in the produce section, and the lady behind you in the checkout stand is going to know exactly who you are. And it's not like, oh, just listed, just sold, this, that, and the other thing. It's like, look, these are the community events that are coming up for our community. Participating in that fully. It's these are the new businesses that have opened in our community. Let's go support them. So it's just about, we always say the best business plan is just being a good human. So
I like that one.
yep.
Yeah.
So so back to the marketing membership. So we do the postcards, the events. So literally somebody could come in as a brand new agent, never done real estate in their life. They can get a hold of our monthly marketing brochure. If they just execute on those pieces consistently, month over month, we know that this to be true because our coaching students show us all the time. They will double and triple their business. Our average coaching student in our program has 2.5 times their business in the first year.
And that's
the average.
executing at a low level. A lot of them are like, I'm doing like maybe one thing out of here a month. So it works when you work.
Yep.
And how many different ways can ladies be engaged with your community? Is there different opportunities, different ways to work with you
Yeah,
guys?
so every Monday we do free coaching inside the group. So that's the one way they can get on our Monday motivation calls. The community itself, obviously, the Facebook group.
And there's no cost to join that?
No, it's free.
No, it's free.
Totally free.
The community's free. The coaching on Monday, inside our higher ticket coaching program, that's kind of the deeper level. That's the next step if they want to go that route. Our events, what am I missing?
And then also partnering with us at EXP.
Oh, yeah.
So we have those on Tuesdays.
We call that our entourage, right? That's
I like
fun.
that. I like that.
Hey, we're fun. We like that. Well, the thing about it is that we've realized that the more ingrained that you get into somebody's business, the better, the easier it is for you to execute on that, right? Because we definitely don't require the people at Girls with Grit to be part of EXP, but it naturally makes sense because, like, as an example, anybody that is partners with us at EXP, well, they get our marketing membership for free, so that way they can go out and execute. And there's not even the monthly membership barrier is there, right? We just always want to be able to provide them with the highest level of value. I think one other place that people can join us, though, that we've developed over the last year is we do a quarterly masterclass, and so we pick a topic, right? And so, for example, the seller experience was the last thing that we did, and we literally took every single person that was a part of that. It's a free 4-day masterclass, and we take them through the entire evolution of what does it look like to provide a 5-star experience for a seller in that example. So it's like
Down to the nitty gritty. Like,
Yeah.
how do you do the home tour? Where do you sit? What do you like? How do you identify personality types? Like that sort of thing.
What emails to send? Literally copy and paste emails, templates, client facing marketing material, literally every single nut and bolt. So it
All the
was
stuff
successful.
that we've fallen on our face with over and over and over, building our own real estate
Yeah.
businesses. Honestly, people are like, well, how do you come up with all the content for Girls with Grit? And we're like, it's everything we did wrong for so many years and then finally figured out how to do it right.
Yeah.
And so it's just a way to compress time for people in our community. And it's what we wish we had when we first started out. So
And pivoting to branding yourselves, because you guys all do it really, really well on the internet. And I've learned since I've gotten be in relationship with you guys, especially like your long form content on Facebook. And I see how you guys show up differently in other platforms. What are some tactical things that you can, someone listening be like, okay, if you don't join the community or do anything, do those one thing, right? So a lot of times people say, okay, what's the one thing that you'd be doing right now, whether it's to build your brand or to take opportunity of this current market where it's still hyper competitive, low inventory, high interest rates. Talk to me about some of those tactical things.
Well, it's funny because we have, like, you could come into Girls with Grit and you could figure out exactly who to talk to,
Yeah.
exactly what to say, exactly what marketing material to deliver. Like, it's literally like step by step by step. But after 4 years, I think that the one thing that we have figured out is we missed a key part in the beginning, and that is that the biggest objection that most realtors will ever face in their lives is actually themselves.
Yep.
It's the fact that they're not sold on themselves, and that's why they can't clearly communicate their value proposition.
No confidence. They lack the confidence.
It's lack of confidence. And a lot of it too is that it's like they are living out some copy and paste version of like a character, right? Because there's so much content from real estate agents all over the internet. And so it's really easy to be like, oh, I love this person's post. I'm going to copy and paste it and put it here. Oh, I love this person's post over here. Oh, I'm going to copy and paste it. And before you know it, you've lost your entire identity because you don't believe that you're good enough. So you're pulling everybody else's information because, oh, she said it better or he said it better. And so part of it is really being able to find your audacious authenticity, right? The person that you truly are and that you were born to be and bring into this world. Because you know what, like Lauren, she will walk into a room and she will have 55 friends before she leaves. She'll be going to coffee with somebody the next morning and doing yoga with somebody else the next afternoon. That's not me, right? That's her superpower. My superpower is more, I'm like way more analytical, right? And so you give me 5 investors, I'll have them deals by the end of the day and we'll be building portfolios, right? And then Jamie's great at being the authenticity piece of it, right? And very direct. But it's like, you have to believe that you are good enough as the person that you are and really spend time figuring out what is your superpower? What is the one thing that is different that you can bring to the table? And then once you figure that out, then you start to attract the people that want to work with you and you want to work with. So
That's exactly what we did with Girls with Grit. We didn't build this out of like, oh, let's model it after this program or this community or this or that. We built it on what we felt needed to be seen in the marketplace because it didn't exist the way that we envisioned it to. And so that's how we built it. We just truly who we are. And so someone can maybe go and R&D what we're doing, but they're still not us. And that's the differentiator here. And so as long as people can realize, lean into your superpower, no one can take that away from you, no matter how quirky it is. That's your superpower.
So I love this conversation. I actually talk very similarly to that because one of the things I love about real estate is I would say like sub 30 million, sub 50 million, maybe sub 100 units a year. There's probably 200 ways to do it, right?
Right.
From throwing parties to business building to investor.
Investors.
Like at 1,000 transactions, I've probably seen like 6 different ways,
Yes.
depending on the market cycle,
Yes,
right,
exactly.
more systematic.
right? Like in '08, you want to sell 1,000 homes, you were doing REO.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Today, to do 1,000 deals, 80% chance you have some Zillow Flex or Realty
Yeah.
as portion of your
As a
business,
part of your
Right.
business.
right? But at 100 deals as a solo agent, killing it, providing a high 6-figure, even low 7-figure business, there are 200 ways if you identify that superpower.
Exactly.
So I say that to people. What I don't know the answer to, and I'd love if you've had some thoughts around it, have you developed a framework to identify that superpower?
I think that the largest part of that battle is giving somebody permission to recognize that that's the thing. Because, look, there's no shortage of people in this industry that will take people's money to teach them how to sell real estate, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's always like a way, right? Like, oh, this is this is the XYZ method, and this is exactly how we do it. And people feel like they have to put themselves like
In a box. But I think that's actually our program. Our program, the number one takeaway that we've been seeing over the last 12 months, which has been the most interesting thing for us, most of the women in our coaching program have said what they have learned the most from our program is how to build confidence and how to build their business through confidence, how to know exactly what to say, what to do, and to build that confidence. Even if they don't have a ROI in terms of units sold, they were learning that 12 months with us. They're going to crush it the next year because they have the confidence now. So it's actually our program.
No, that's fascinating. Because I feel like a lot of whenever I go to a conference and I'm on stage, I always warn people. I said, this is probably one of the worst places to write down stuff and be like, oh, I'm going to go do that. Because then are you wired to do that?
Right.
Right.
Do
you even want to do that? Like,
so a really good example I had in my selling experience and career was I found out really early on I could write a check, not to a coach, but to an agent. So let's say I wanted to do REO or short sales or probate or investor stuff. I would go down the Wall Street Journalist. I would find the best I could find in the country and call them and say, hey, can I come spend the day with you? The cool part is half of them said, sure. What do you do? And let's just give me your playbook. I'll give you my playbook. But one year I thought I wanted to do probate. And I found the guy in the country who did it at the highest level. And he's gotten this call before because he goes, sure, it's $7,500. You can come spend the day with me. I will give you my scripts. I already have it. Like, it was productized because
Before.
I was not the first person to
Yeah,
call
exactly.
him.
Right.
And I went and spent a day. I listened in on all the calls. I went on a couple appointments. And on the way home, I was like, cool. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I had the resources because I was a top producing agent. But that $7,500 in one day saved me, I don't know, 18
Yeah.
months and
Yeah.
probably
Hundreds.
hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of dollars.
Yeah.
Either in marketing or
Yep.
more specifically my time.
Your time.
Yep.
Because what I learned on that day is I was highly emotional. And again, I'm high I, and the level of conflict involved in those conversations, the being called an ambulance chaser and people breaking down on the phone calls, I was like, no, not for
Yeah.
me. Right?
Yeah, I couldn't do that either.
For me, being a high I, which almost sounds contradictory, but it wasn't, working with institutions was really good because I built an interpersonal relationship with a human being, but the business side of it was pure math and analytical. It's like the investors don't get upset. They're just like, what's it worth?
Yeah.
Right.
It's the mathing.
What's my return on capital?
Yep.
How long are we going to hold it? What's the net execution? Like, these are all questions I can answer. My brain works that way.
Right.
But the I part was like, yeah, let's go to dinner. Like, over time, some of them attended mine and Ariana's wedding. You know, we got invited on ski trips. Like, there was a real friendship.
Sure.
But the business side of it was not emotional.
Right.
Versus that probate kind of due diligence. I was like, I couldn't.
No.
My emotions couldn't handle that part of the business where someone's heartbroken. We're talking about selling their home, right?
Right.
Right.
Well, I think that's part of it. I mean, and we've said this many times, like, part of figuring out what you like is figuring out what you don't like, you know?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you have to do something. Like, you
Yep.
can't build a real estate business and not do anything. You can't not cold call and also not build relationships. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, the deals don't just fall in your lap. Maybe they did for
Yeah,
a couple
yeah, a
years
couple
there,
years
but
there, maybe.
Yeah, no,
that's
never.
not how it works.
And even when it looks like they did, it was normally a result of a lot of effort,
Exactly.
right? Like, at one point, I had most of the REO in my market, and they're like, "He's lucky." I was like, "No,
No.
No.
I went on planes for a very long time,
Yeah.
building those relationships,
exactly.
and then outperforming the standards that were set for me."
Yep, exactly.
It's so funny how you said, oh, he's lucky, because I do feel like that is a fatal flaw in this industry specifically, is people just chalking it up to, oh, that person was like right place, right time, right? And they fail to really see the amount of work. Like, even with us, people are like, oh, well, they were able to do that because it was COVID. And it was like, no,
No.
we were able to do that because we worked 80 hours a week giving away every single thing that we knew for free to anybody that would listen for 4 years.
Realtors in our own neighborhood.
Yes,
Right?
Literally.
Literally, I have 2 agents that are within a half-mile radius of my own
Same.
house that we give, that use my listing presentation that I wrote, that I would, you know what, because that's how much we believe in the fact that there's enough out there for everybody. There is enough business out there for everybody. And so, and again, when we talk about superpower, right? You could have the exact same two people with the same listing presentation. They're going to present it in 2 different ways. One person's going to be really great at communicating that value proposition. Somebody else may not be, or they find different pieces and parts. And so that's, again, about finding, like, what is your superpower in this industry? The good thing is that usually you've got, like, that really analytical person, and you've got that really creative, fun person, and they're usually married. So if,
Yeah.
if you go on a listing appointment, you're going to connect with one of them, right? So
Yeah, and I love the disc profile. I'm obsessed with it. And
Yep.
again, I just think that being able to read people, and actually, I think of the disc slightly differently. I truly believe that the average person, I'm not talking about only special people, the average person is competent enough to do just about any role. Again, we are not doing brain surgery. We're not writing
Sure.
Right.
code, right?
Right.
With that said, for example, I told you guys I have a 3-hour board meeting after this. And once a month, I have a 6-hour like financial reconciliation for the entire company. And once a quarter, I have like the quarterly one. I have the IQ, and again, I think anybody who can balance a checkbook should have the IQ to do that. At the end of the day, because my SNC are super low to begin with, it drains my energy.
I feel that. I'm a
That's
ID.
her.
I'm a
She's
ID.
a high I. Do you?
99%.
I'm 99D and 99I.
That's me. I have the same disc profile.
Shocker, it's most people in real estate, right? Like,
Better get
I don't know.
Not me. My eyes like.
I said most. Right?
I'm like, she's a DC.
Yeah, because and that's the rarest profile I ever find, and I normally try to hire all the DCs I can find.
Well, you can't hire her.
You can't have her. She's
She ain't for
ours.
sale, Leo.
Can't afford me, Leo. No.
I know I can't. I'm also well aware of that. But the thing is, I think anyone can do any role. The problem is how do you feel at the end of the day? Right? Like I can jump on stage in front of 6,000 people and not have a script, and they're like, go for 30 minutes. Or like I've done it like 3 times this week where I was like, I don't even know what the questions are,
But here
We'll
we
figure
go.
it out.
but we're recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And by the time I get off, I have more energy. Right. The Blended Suns crew, who's been with me since last Friday, every single day.
Oh gosh.
They even can see my energy change depending on what stage I'm on and how I get off stage. But if someone doesn't have I, it's very draining.
Yep.
They can still do it,
That's
and you
Tara.
show up incredibly well.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's like, no pictures, no people. Versus someone who has an eye and it feeds your energy. Right? So I encourage all humans, independent of industry, to really figure, like when I talk about your superpower, I want you to find one because I think that's where passion comes from.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right? I think what we say to young people, it's like, follow your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't think that's correct. I think it's find the parts of the job that feed your family,
Right.
that give you energy, because that's like, if I did something that would drain my energy every single day, when I come home, I'm not showing up as the husband and father and
Right.
son that I want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Versus when, like, most of the time, I get to live in my strengths, I show up with a lot more energy.
That's so
Sure.
good.
Right. And then I think that's a distinction that I don't think we kind of isolate for people, that I think
good.
makes a big, big difference.
It's a huge difference. I mean, for us, we all kind of came up very similar times and ways in the industry. And it's like, you can have somebody that comes into real estate and absolutely hates in it. It's because that was the framework that they were given when they got
Exactly.
here, right? Like you go to a certain maybe brokerage or whatever, and it's like they teach you that, you should put your name tag on and go into the grocery store and talk to freaking cashiers or
I got licensed in 2002.
Yeah, right?
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
you know what
we
I'm
were all
talking
in the
about.
same
Reaction.
brokerage at
call
one point.
Frisco's and
We all
call
did bold.
expireds, and we're like,
It was cold call, name tag, open house. I was like,
Yeah.
none of that seems interesting
That sounds
to me.
terrible.
I
That's an
literally
awful
had
idea.
a coach one time tell me to put my business card on gas pumps in my local
No.
area. Like that is not, and nobody is gonna really love and
Can you
enjoy
imagine
the
calling
business.
No.
someone up?
No, but Lauren always says the funniest thing, and she's like, here we are, we're like double dialing our grandpa during, certain training programs because you have to make 100 phone calls and, you're not really sure who else to call. And that is not how we want to build real estate businesses. That it's not sustainable, even if you find really great success early on doing that, because let's face it, everything works if you work it, but like the burnout is so high. And then that's why you see people that, come in and then they go out in a blaze of glory, because you need to be able to build businesses that are authentic to you. And that's where
what we've
Girls
done.
With Grit.
Yeah, no, I've told
all
agents,
about.
even if they do a strategy that I may not align with, is do it to build a database and then
Yep.
Right.
stay in touch with that database. 'Cause,
Exactly.
the leads, people know, like, and trust you, convert at double digits, and you actually enjoy them.
Right.
We actually have a training program that goes through that and tells exactly how many, and the mathematical whiz over here, how many contacts an average agent really needs in order to have a multi-six-figure business. 250 people. That's it.
And that math equation is actually very scientific. And I don't know if you know this or have heard this. So the average American holds influence on about 150 people. And the definition of influence is, if I were to say, hey, I saw this movie and it's a really good movie, you should watch it. Right? I would say the second level of influence is like, hey, who did your hair, right? Like that's way
I don't know,
more.
Leo. That's pretty.
little
That's
more
number one.
personal.
That's number
That's what I
one.
said.
Have you seen our hair?
That's level of influence. Second one is like, hey, who do you trust with like dentist, hair,
Right. Yeah.
eye, right? But if X amount of people will trust you, the more known people you get into this sphere of influence database, statistically, for every 100 Americans, 4 move every year. So,
Right.
once you get it to that, because the first time someone hears a 250 is like, well, that's only like what 8 transactions, 9 transactions. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's 8 times 250.
Exactly.
Right. If you're reminding them,
Yeah. That's key.
and I think
That's
that's
key.
what most agents forget, right?
Yeah, that's what they lack.
And I've had conversations with agents where they're frustrated. Well, like they don't refer me. I'm like, no one lies in bed at night worrying if you have enough to eat.
Exactly.
Newsflash, like we are not their first priority.
No.
But I always say, but it's not because they don't love you.
Right.
It's because they're lying in bed at night, worried
Yeah.
about feeding their
Their
kiddos.
family.
They got their own stuff
Right.
going on.
And most of the time, if you just ask or show them how,
Exactly.
really, like words
Teach
matter
'em,
to me,
yep.
right? And you guys have gotten to know me. I don't play with certain, like there's lines you don't cross with me,
I'm here
Right.
for it, Leo.
right? But the positive or sales part of that is, I think you have to be intentional even how you ask and
Right.
when you ask.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, there are 3 times in a transaction where people's likelihood to refer you are like 4 times higher.
Right.
Yep.
Right? It's when you sign that buyer's agent agreement,
Yep.
and they're in their honeymoon phase. It's all the honeymoon phases.
Yep.
Right. All the good stuff.
When
Yep.
you ratify the
The contract.
Yep.
not during the home inspection,
No, no, absolutely not.
when you ratify and at the closing table.
Yep.
And I,
Not 2 days after the
Not-
closing when you're actually sending them, can you send me a 5-star review on Zillow? And they're like, sure, after I get out from underneath this box.
Yeah.
or when they find out, the
The
closet's
water
small.
heater.
The
Yeah.
closet is smaller than they underwrote visually, or the
Yeah.
water heater, or
Yeah.
any of that stuff.
And then
So-
it's naturally our fault.
So it's those things that tweak. It's just that 1
Yep.
centimeter, millimeter move that makes a substantial difference in their work.
We always say they can't forget you if you're just always there.
Yeah.
Going back to like when we started to where we're at today, one of the coolest things I keep hearing from agents is that being authentically yourselves, which is a compliment to the 3 of you, you are attracting customers that already know and like you, right? The amount of times I've sat with someone in the last couple of years and I start telling them something like, I've heard everything you've ever said. Like I've listened to hours and hours of your pod. Like I know that story. Like, but the fact that they're in front of me, they already have a pretty decent and fair idea of who I am and what my beliefs are. Like,
Right.
I'm kind of direct. And I will say bad words. Like, if that's not someone you want to be in relationship with, it's pretty open and notorious
Yeah.
who we all are now.
Right.
Well, but is it? And the reason I'm going to challenge you on that is because the power of like a parasocial relationships is so deep like that. But if you're not presenting your authentic self
Exactly.
online,
100%.
Yep.
Like
then
that,
you can't build that, right?
Exactly.
Like
Because
I
you're
can't
showing
tell
up as-
you, there are agents where it's like you think you know them online, right?
Yep.
And they're posting all the time. They're in their stories 20 times a day. They're posting all these things, and then you meet them in
And they're
person,
like,
and they're a completely different person, and you're like, where did this come from, right?
That's like the worst feeling.
yes.
So I'd go back to that energy thing. That has to be soul sucking.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
Because,
absolutely.
like, if like I made an decision early on, it's like I'm going to be me no matter what title I have.
Exactly.
So like I don't own a suit, right? Like I own a couple nice blazers, and that's 3 times a year. But outside of that, I'm in jeans and a t-shirt. Like
you live in Miami, like
Right.
Yeah.
But I was like that in DC, right? So it's like at a certain point, I think you need to, and I think early on in real estate, especially because it's such a visual, like, hey, I need to look a certain way.
Right.
Drive a certain car, I need to dress a certain way because then they'll trust me,
Right.
right? Versus like, are you hiring me because I can help you build a portfolio?
Exactly.
And my net execution is X, and I've raised X amount of capital, and I've done these things. And I think it goes back to the confidence thing. But
Yeah.
the
Yep.
sooner you can be your authentic self online, I did a mastermind last year, and Somin Kim out of Austin does like
Oh, he's great.
$90 million as a solo agent.
Wow.
And it hit me
YouTube,
like
right?
a ton of
Yep.
bricks on YouTube that he said, he's like, look, if you have an insecurity about who you are an accent, anything that you think would turn somebody off. The coolest thing about YouTube is if you have hours and hours and hours, by the time that buyer or seller calls you and say, "Hey, can you meet?" They're not only okay with it, they like it because they chose to go one step further and reach out to you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think what you just said is so important. It's like, it's exhausting to be someone you're not.
Yeah.
And then you have to pretend to be that character. It's about the
Exactly.
transaction must be
I don't know if it's just a
overwhelming.
buzzword, but I feel like a lot of people started talking about that maybe last year or two about being authentic and stuff. I don't know how many people actually know what that really means. And if they just truly were authentic, their business would look totally different. They might love it. They might love it.
So what are the best ways for folks who are curious about engaging with you guys? Like, is it joining your Facebook group? Is it?
Yeah, I would say our Facebook group is the best place to start, which is just Girls with Grit on Facebook. Join the group, though, not the page, because the page is just there for utility, but the group itself, because that's where you're going to be able to get that. It's almost like our own YouTube channel, right? Because that's where you're going to see all of our recorded video. There's so much interaction in there. The one thing that we really love about that space, too, outside of us, is that the community in there is so supportive. You know, sometimes you go into some of these Facebook groups online and you're like,
Real estate ones?
ask a question and, you know, like duck and cover, right? Or you get the, oh my gosh, if you don't know that, like you shouldn't even be selling houses kind of thing. And that is not like that at all inside of our community. And so that's one of the things that we're really most proud of, is that we've really built a community of like
A culture
inclusion.
inside,
Yes, exactly.
inside
Yeah.
the community.
Exactly.
And
But-
we won't put up with it. We'll just cut it. And we don't do anonymous posts in there either. We're not
Yeah.
about that. Like, if you want to say something, stand behind it, you know?
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, that's really the best place to start reaching out to us, because that's where you're exposed to all the events that we have, where we're going to be speaking at, what free master classes we're doing, how to get.
And you guys
everything.
do local, smaller ones as well, right? So
Yep.
you have a national. So just give us the whole
Yep.
flavor of what people could be exposed to.
Free Facebook group, free coaching calls on Monday. Courses. So we do a lot of like little one-off courses. So
For
let's say,
systems
yeah,
and
for
stuff.
systems. So like for an example, if you have a listing coming up and you want literally every single piece of collateral and every single email that you're going to need during that entire process, we have something called the listing system. We have that for listings, for buyers. So we have one-off courses like that. The live events, we do what we call a hometown tour, and that's where we just go all across the United States and do 100 to 250 person events. We teach super tactical in those situations, and those are like $40. I mean, it's like less than lunch to come for a whole day and learn from us. And then our big event, Girls with Grit
Where's
Live.
that schedule published?
Everything's in the Facebook
Got
group.
it.
Yeah.
Yep. Like you can't miss it if it's in the Facebook group. And then
Or our
if you-
email list.
I was gonna say, if you actually put your email in when you join the Facebook group, you also get our email list, which has a bunch of freebies and things like that in it too. But truthfully, the Facebook group, that's the best place to find us and get in on all things Girls with Grit.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with Miami. With me.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
It was fun.
Appreciate you.